1, 2, is this on?
In the late 90s and 2000s, wrestling was filled with controversial angles that were shocking at the time but have aged badly as the years have progressed.
I'd love to slap you across your face, but it looks like God already beat me to it.
For this video, we'll be highlighting a wide variety of these moments, including the risque, ridiculous, and offensive.
Terrorists are gonna burn down the Undertaker's house. His children are gonna be kidnapped. His wife, she's gonna be raped by a motorcycle gang.
We'll also touch on some dark behind-the-scenes stuff as well.
And then suddenly I was in a scene where I was going to be making out with a female, which I didn't think my character wanted to do.
As today, we list 10 more controversial wrestling storylines.
I just remember leaving that arena so mad and so offended that they would actually do something like that. He told me he didn't know.
In 2005, Chavo Guerrero was drafted from SmackDown to Raw with little fanfare, but no one would have expected the persona he was about to morph into. Chavo had been repackaged into some wacky gimmicks back in WCW, but KERWIN White trumped them all.
Also decided to not be known as Chavo Guerrero. I have legally and proudly changed my name to KERWIN White. I was like, all right, I have two options. You either say no and possibly go back on the back burner for a while or get fired, or you say, all right, let's do it.
As KERWIN White, Guerrero denounced his Latino heritage in favor of becoming a country club golfer that extenuated a specific stereotype but claimed to be the spokesperson of middle-class America.
Muhammad Ali, you know, he had to change his name to Muhammad Ali. Some people still try to call him Cassius Clay, but this is the same situation.
The character's first name was a rib on WWE's longtime director of television. The last name, however, needs no explanation, though it came with a controversial catchphrase.
KERWIN White.
That's right, KERWIN White.
And if it's not white, it's not right. And America, don't forget, if it's not white, it's not right. But Shelton Benjamin is not one of us. Shelton Benjamin is not white.
KERWIN White was short-lived as the character was dropped following the passing of Chavo's uncle Eddie.
But I just don't think that it was one that had any longevity to it and in the best taste.
From then on, Chavo reverted back to his original identity. Another similar character that was pitched around this time but thankfully never made it to air was to be portrayed by Sean Devari. He was going to be repackaged as an American patriot character called George Bush. We all know about the notorious dark storylines that Vince McMahon booked himself in, but let's begin with a moment that slipped under the radar. First, we'll go back to 2003 when Stephanie McMahon mentioned how her dad trafficked her as a bargaining tool to other promoters during negotiations, all while she was still under 18.
Every time I went out to dinner with one of your business associates, I was 17 years old. You don't think they told me what you promised them I'd do? And guess what, Dad? I did it. I did it for you, the things I did with them, and I'm ashamed of myself. I'm ashamed of myself that I'm just like you.
The chairman infamously produced two separate segments where Eric Bischoff forcibly made out with both Steph and Vince's wife Linda, who was the company's CEO at the time. Bruce Pritchard and Eric revealed all the grim details in interviews with Sam Roberts and Inside the Ropes.
Is it not funny to anybody else that, like, technically she's making out with her dad?
While her dad is standing 4 feet away, by the way.
How does Vince direct you?
Get in there, pal! Get into those puppies! Look at them! Embrace it! And when you get those lips lock, I want to see.
Can I be edited out of this segment?
I'm gonna bend her over, and you're going to kiss her with all of the passion you can find.
Who's the better kisser? That's a better question. Linda, because she hadn't gotten any in a long time.
Behind the scenes, Vince twice attempted to get a Stephanie McMahon Kiss My Ass Club storyline onto TV. On both occasions, Stephanie declined. Then there was the infamous pitch Vince suggested where he would be the father of a pregnant Steph's baby.
One of my storyline ideas was that Stephanie gets pregnant. I was the one who impregnated her, my character.
You remember some of the things you said no to?
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell the one.
After this was obviously shot down, the chairman then pitched for son Shane to be the daddy to no avail.
Then he came up with the idea for Shane to actually be the father of my baby, my brother. And I, again, just no, but it's not gonna happen with us. I just can't do that. That's too much.
After Shane returned in 2016, he mentioned in kayfabe how his dad used to physically discipline him when he was a child. This was edited out of all future broadcasts on the show in question, but just listen to Vince's comment.
I have one last opportunity to
have a fucking beating, okay?
This is all the more dark when you consider the real vicious treatment Vince received from his stepfather Leo Lupton when McMahon was a kid.
He used to beat me unmercifully, but I knew that if I lived through that beating, I won.
Vince has also hinted at being violated by his mother when he was young.
He alludes to his mother sexually assaulting him. He alludes to being molested when he was 6.
Vince once scripted a segment where he suspended the late Ashley Massaro. This was the year after WWE had covered up Massaro being violated by someone posing as a US military doctor on a trip to Kuwait.
At that time, didn't launch any sort of investigation because effectively the issue was covered up.
She says that Vince McMahon knew about it and that WWE functionally covered it up to protect the business.
On Rene Dupree's Cafe de Rene podcast, Ashley's former boyfriend Paul London spoke about how Vince tried to proposition Massaro on countless occasions.
She would be crying to me because Vince was propositioning her to fly on the jet with them. You know, he'd be knocking on her door and, you know, trying to get her to answer.
Massaro said she rejected him, but from her point of view, Vince responded by writing stories whose sole purpose was to just embarrass her.
Next, we have another storyline featuring other forms of behind-the-scenes depravity from McMahon. But first, let's set the scene on what was a risque angle between Trish Stratus and Mickie James. Mickie debuted as a crazed fan who was also a wrestler seeking the affection of her hero, Trish.
I'm Raw's newest diva. Mickie James. Why do I know that name? Mickie James? Yeah, I'm like your biggest fan.
Mickie James? Doesn't look like Mickie James at all. You look like Trish Stratus.
They began a tag team, but as time went on, we realized that James' attraction wasn't simply a platonic one.
Can I have a towel, please? Wow, Trish. Nice boobs. Can you get out? Get out. Let's go kick some booty. Oh. Yes.
Hey, Mickie. What? I'm starting to get embarrassed.
I've idolized you. I worship you. You're my idol, Trish. I mean, I used to watch you with my grandpappy. I mean, God, you don't even care.
When Stratus rejected Mickie's advances, James dived deeper into insanity by going after Trish. This included a segment involving Trish's kayfabe boyfriend, where he also rejected Mickie, only for James to lie and act as if he touched her. Similarities were drawn from this segment to a real-life accusation made against Vince McMahon at a tanning salon 2 weeks prior.
Weeks later, Vince created a storyline where somebody's just absolutely making up all of these things.
The connection being that McMahon says the tanning incident was made-up allegations.
She alleged that Vince McMahon had shown her naked photos of himself and had groped her. McMahon denies the allegations.
Another possible connection to something behind the scenes occurred when Trish refused to take part in an angle where it's rumored that she was to willingly make out with Ashley Massaro to make Mickie jealous. Stratus later suggested this refusal may have played a part in her dropping the belt to James at WrestleMania 22.
And then suddenly I was in a scene where I was going to be making out with a female, which I didn't think my character wanted to do. Was it a coincidence that I lost the championship the next week? Maybe I got punished. I'm not sure.
Vince Russo produced some of the most risque wrestling content as he watched episodes of Jerry Springer for inspiration in creating crazy angles. Russo's style of Crash TV produced plenty of material just for shock value, when no one would get over as a result. One such example was when Mosh of the Headbangers became a Leave It to Beaver style character called Beaver Cleavage. The character was said to have been engaging in relations with a woman he called his mother, but was actually his girlfriend.
Does mother's little hairy beaver want some of mother's milk? You can't have a split beaver running around now, can we?
When it comes to working on your knees, my mom is the expert.
Bro, it was edgy. It was pushing the envelope. It was something that people could talk about around the water cooler. Wrestling fans are going to hate it. I know wrestling fans are going to hate it. That's not who I was writing for, bro. Here's why I can't say it was a mistake.
All right.
I was not given the freedom to see it through.
The Beaver gimmick was dropped after Sable filed a harassment lawsuit against the WWF.
Other sexual harassment thing came up with Vince, and so anything that was pushing the line, they squashed. I can't do this.
Chaz, we're live, Chaz. Chat.
A storyline then began where Mosh, or Chaz as he was known, was alleged to have been violent towards his girlfriend.
Oh, look at her eye. She's got a black eye. You don't think that. Godfather, I think.
What woman deserves to get beaten repeatedly? Keep him away from me.
No trouble, man.
Though it later turned out to be a ruse. Russo did an even worse angle where Terry Runnels got pregnant, but no one was sure who the father was. Terry then was supposed to have lost her baby after falling down.
She doesn't know. Look out. Oh, look. Wait a minute. Oh, my God.
Once again, this all turned out to be a ruse per the storyline.
Was Terry or was Terry ever pregnant at all? She has never been pregnant. You do know it. I examined her.
Runnels had begged Russo not to go through with the angle, but the head writer was persistent and unfortunately it went ahead.
Now, there are things I did that I thought were bad, but that wasn't one of them.
GTV was another Russo creation, but this one wasn't actually a bad premise. It allowed stories to be told via a spy camera instead of traditional skills where the camera is ignored by the wrestlers.
Chaz's girlfriend, JR! It sure as heck is! You're busted!
Though given the spying nature of it all, and since this was the Attitude Era, the execution of the idea saw GTV filming content that was mostly crude and salacious.
It is an honor for you to sit there and shave my ass. They call you the Big Show?
Russo wanted comedian Tom Green to be behind it all, but Vince McMahon didn't know who he was. GTV continued for a while after Russo left WWF, but the culprit was never revealed.
I love the way you back it up.
Sex so tough that is mesmerized.
Russo's partner Ed Ferreira has said that Goldust was meant to be the architect of GTV, or GDTV as it was initially known. However, Goldust left the company after it began.
GTV is very highly classified material that I cannot discuss with you.
WWE 2023 Hall of Famer Tim White was a stalwart referee for many years up until he suffered a shoulder injury in 2002. This meant after decades of service, White's days as a ref were effectively numbered. Tim remained with the company for a while afterwards, working in a backstage role, but some of the only on-camera stuff he did after trading in the stripes was a bizarre series of skits on WWE.com beginning at the end of 2005. The first one aired as a part of the Armageddon pay-per-view. Josh Matthews would try to interview Tim as White attempted to unalive himself in a new and more graphic way each week.
Mr. White, what are you doing? Mr. White, that's not wise! Mr. White, what are you doing? What's going on, Mr. White? This is awesome! Mr. White, please don't.
The reason given for this was that White was depressed after being forced to retire from refereeing. The segments were panned as being disturbingly tasteless while serving no purpose. They were a brand of dark comedy that WWE has rarely ever gone for on television, so that explains why these primarily aired on the website instead.
See it, let's take it inside.
The WWE Diva search sought to find a new crop of talent who would embody what the company wanted a female wrestler to be. In-ring ability was put on the back burner and completely secondary since most of the competitors had only just been introduced to the sport. Also, the challenges the girls did focus on other areas. These sometimes took up a total of 3 segments on the show. One such infamous example occurred on the August 30th, 2004 edition of Monday Night Raw in a so-called Diss the Diva challenge. The challengers were tasked with cutting unscripted promos on each other where they could say anything they wanted. What followed was some of the most X-rated language and insults ever heard on WWE programming.
Talk a lot of look at you, you got a gap so wide you could drive a truck right through there, baby.
Unsurprisingly, the segment, an entire Divas search, was buried by viewers.
You're a burping gutter slut. You guys?
The concept was tweaked in subsequent years. It was still bad TV, but this first 2004 edition was certainly the worst, and some of the most awful television the company has ever produced.
Having a in your mouth has nothing to do with wrestling, bitch.
Let's lighten the mood a little bit as our next entry isn't so much dark and controversial as it is gross and disgusting. As in the spring of 2002, Tommy Dreamer didn't have much going on creatively. That was until he began a gimmick where he would eat anything from anywhere, citing how he was just a regular guy.
Good boy. Yeah, not so bad.
No, wait a minute.
No.
Eat your hair. Oh my gosh.
Like gum.
Not barbicide, not barbicide.
Dreamer essentially became a human garbage disposal.
Oh, sorry.
He was even given a legit $7,000 bonus for drinking The Undertaker's tobacco spit.
Here, let me help you out, give it just a little more flavor.
Tommy's hungry persona wasn't too much of a stretch from his real-life self, as there's various stories of him eating large quantities of food in one go.
That's nothing but vomit. How about like... Oh, good God.
During the segment where Kurt Angle doused the Alliance with milk, Dreamer could be seen eating cookies off the mat that had been stood on by other wrestlers.
Yes, I remember it, and I also ate cookies off of, I believe it was Chuck Palumbo and Rhino's shoe also.
These days, it's incredibly rare to see men getting physical with women in WWE, but back in the Ruthless Aggression era and Attitude eras, the opposite was true. In fact, it was pretty much commonplace since so many female stars took some big bumps courtesy of the guys. For this section, we'll cover some of the most brutal examples from the past. The type of stuff that certainly wouldn't fly in modern times, and is quite shocking to witness when compared to today's standards. Kurt Angle had no qualms about slapping on any of his finishers to the opposite gender. The same goes for the Big Red Machine Kane, who suffered a lot of relationship heartbreak throughout his career, which he got his revenge for. Whether he was known as Jamal or Umaga, the Samoan Bulldozer did not discriminate when it came to those he destroyed.
Running like a scalded dog. Oh my God! There's no reason for this. Do it now!
Stone Cold Steve Austin's motto of opening up a can of whoop-ass could have been tweaked to equal rights, equal fights, given the amount of stunners he gave to women.
Defending his wife!
I'm kind of glad you did.
When Chris Jericho applied the walls of Jericho to those much smaller than him, like is in the case here, it looked as if he was completely folding them in half. The game Triple H was one of the most heinous characters of all time, as he brutalized anyone that stood in his path, even his own wife.
Oh, look out here! Oh, master! A man would do that! Oh, come on! Pedigree! Don't do that! Pedigree! Don't do it, damn it!
Randy Orton is one of the few that's allowed to get physical with women in modern times.
Run to the door! No. She's out of it. Oh my God! No!
But if we go further back, we'll see how it's something Randy's been doing since his early days.
Randy Orton. Legend killer.
What? What? Oh my God! Hey! Oh my God! Oh no! Oh damn it!
Jeff Jarrett was fond of locking women in the figure four.
Jarrett's grandmothers! What the hell is he doing?
Or whacking them with his signature guitar.
Oh, come on!
And lastly, who could forget Bubba Ray Dudley putting women through tables with the help of his brother Devon? Bubba didn't get off on being with the ladies. He got his kicks by powerbombing them through the wood. Extreme Championship Wrestling also featured plenty of similar behavior to that documented in our last entry, usually courtesy of the Dudley Boys, but other wrestlers got in on the act as well. For this section, we'll highlight some of the other ways the original ECW pushed the envelope by showcasing some of the promotion's darker moments and controversial angles. The infamous crucifixion of the Sandman had the usual rowdy and boisterous ECW arena crowd in Philadelphia overcome with a stunned silence.
And that was a one-time ECW arena where the fans weren't saying, yo, go to hell and screaming. They were just quiet.
Kurt Angle, who was exploring new career options after winning an Olympic gold medal, was in attendance and threatened the company with legal action following the incident.
I told him I'm going to sue you if I end up on the same show.
I just remember leaving that arena so mad and so offended that they would actually do something like that. And He told me he didn't know.
New Jack's antics had the capacity to go beyond the ring and delve into legitimate criminal territory, such as when he destroyed an untrained fan named Eric Kulas, or Mass Transit as he was called for this, his only ever match.
I had a surgical scalpel and I had on a piece of wood and I just cut him real hard, like, and he bled. A lot.
ECW was the first major wrestling promotion to portray two women in a relationship. The company notoriously exploited Tammy Lynn Sitch, aka Sunny's substance abuse issues, with a controversial expose.
I was hoping I wouldn't wake up next morning.
Tell me that. Describe that feeling.
The worst feeling in the world.
We can't show the footage of this next one, but on two separate occasions, Rick Rude grabbed hold of Francine in a piledriver position and smothered his face into a private area while her clothes were hanging down. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out a similar video on 10 WWE wrestlers who destroyed their career with one mistake. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.